Frank, these mechs here look really familiar.
Yeah, when we were at the Rick Baker auction at Prop Store a couple months ago, these things immediately caught my eye.
What are they?
These are hand extensions for when Rick Baker would do gorilla movies. So you have a gorilla hand because they have different anatomy than what we do. So
movies like Greystoke and like even Planet of the Apes, when he would have to design costumes for people playing the apes, they would have hand extenders.
yeah, these are for more like dexterous kind of actions. These weren't necessarily for walking on, but.
And how do they work?
Well, these are mostly made out of aluminum, and you put your hand in there, and these little finger cups pull on Dacron line, which pulls these spring-loaded fingers to make all the fingers move. And your pinky and ring finger are connected to one, and then your middle finger and thumb are connected to number 2, and it's got this little carrier spring that takes up the slack for the thumb, so your middle finger goes and the thumb goes. So they're really great designs, and they're really straightforward and simple.
It's a system of pulleys, springs, taut wire, and the arrangement of all these components, plus the slack that's given, gives it the animation.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, for performance.
Yeah.
Right? It's
it translates your 3 finger movements into that, and then the wrist is broken on this one, but when you have it on your arm and you push with your wrist, it would make the hand wave, the wrist move.
Feeling how taut these cables are and how much force is required to animate here, like gives you a real appreciation for those actors, those performance actors in those movies. And looking at this mech, without the fur, without any of that, the prosthetic on top, gives you appreciation for Rick Baker's team's design.
Yeah, the people that built these things, these are just amazing little machines.
Well, you brought us to the shop today because you want to build a replica of this.
Yeah, well, a buddy of mine, Jerry, bought this one in the auction, and then I traded somebody else for a project for this one, and so I only have one. This is the only one that I have, so I want both hands. So the easy way to do that is to build it on my laser.
Yeah, so I know you have a laser in your shop, and we've threatened to do projects with the laser before. Seems like a perfect opportunity to do it.
Yeah, most of this is flat stock.
Oh, right. It's just flat sheets.
All flat pieces.
Now, because you can cut through a variety of materials, you can do this with acrylic. You can do it with plastic.
Yeah, I want to do it out of clear acrylic because I think it'll be kind of neat looking to have clear versions of these.
And it's going to pay tribute to this design. So I guess the first step must be breaking this down into the pieces to cut it on the laser design.
Yep.
Okay, Frank, so in building out the CAD design for the laser cut project, I assume you didn't take this whole mech apart.
No, Gordon Tarpley and I sat down and kind of looked at how this thing is built, try and figure out what the easiest way to attack it is. And for the most part, these 4 fingers are the same except for some of the lengths. So once we figured out the side and like the placement of the holes and stuff like that, we pretty much could copy it and then just change the length in between. So like this whole finger piece is the same as this, but it's just broken up into 2 spots. The wrist piece is a different configuration. So we just found the similar pieces and then simplified it from there.
And then was it just a matter of measuring?
Yeah, you take a photo, and you know like how long this piece is, and then you can figure out all the dimensions inside of it. And that's an easy one to do on the side of a finger, which is replicated across. Same thing for the thumb, the back of the hand plate. Like it's all pretty flat and straightforward, which is why it makes a great project for the laser.
When you mean photos, you mean literally taking your camera phone or DSLR and taking straight-on photos of each piece, because these are all flat pieces.
Yeah.
As a replica prop builder would if it access to a costume, and then laying it flat, flattening out on the computer, and then just scaling up to your measurements.
Yeah, scaling to measure. Yeah, so like this piece we know is 3/4 of an inch. Using one measurement, you can figure out all the others.
Yeah, we often talk about how building things, whether using a laser cutter or a CNC machine, you're turning 2D objects into 3D objects. Here, this is literally just slices of 2D sheets.
It's all 2D. It's all 2D. Other than these pieces of brass and aluminum rod that kind of connect everything together, everything's pretty much flat.
I look at all the tiny circles here, and every circle here is supposed to connect to another circle with a rod, and so positioning of those holes is going to be super important.
Oh yeah.
How did you make sure that they're going to be in the right place?
Well, I took the first set of drawings that Gordon did, which are these, which are marked with, middle finger, ring finger, index. I took those, ran them, and started to assemble it, and figured out which holes needed to be moved a little bit, and then I would kind of tweak those to a second generation of holes. And it took me like 2 or 3 passes to get it figured out.
All right, so once you had this whole design out, those look all like cut lines.
Yeah.
For the laser, you just found the right thickness of plastic?
Yeah, there's all kinds of plastic supply places down here. It's Plastic Depot up in the valley, or up in the Bay Area. It's Tap Plastic. Like there's places in every city, and you just whatever thickness it was on the original, that's what I tried to find.
Can we take a look at those test cuts? Okay, Frank, it looks like you have a bin full of test cuts here. Are these all the same thickness and material?
Yeah, I used whatever kind of acrylic I had sitting around to test out some of the fit and some of the size of the parts. Like the very first one I did was this blue finger. It didn't, the holes didn't quite let it straighten out all the way. So then I ran a red one. And the first 2 joints were fine, but then the last one extended a little far. Because I was adjusting all of the little holes, and then so I adjusted the last set of holes one more time, and it got to where I wanted it to be.
All right, so you got the mechanical action right, your hole's in the right place. Where is the project now?
Well, I have one hand almost finished.
Ooh.
So we got all the springs, got the fingers. I don't have a thumb on yet, but it's pretty close.
So mechanically, you're pretty happy with the action on this. It replicates the original, it looks like, pretty well.
Yeah, it's pretty close. There's still things that I'm learning every time I put another piece of it together. It's like mechanics 101, like learning from somebody that designed this great machine, and now copying it, I'm learning all the things that person figured out.
And it really is an aesthetic tribute as well, because you have all these holes here that functionally you don't need them, but it is to pay tribute to the original. It looks like you have one. I know you need a pair, so I think we're going to build the second one today.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. Bam, Frank, you're done. What have you become?
I am now a robot.
You're a gorilla robot.
Yeah, these things came out pretty cool. I think there's still a little bit of adjusting still to do to get the fingers. You have to get the strings like just the right tightness.
Let's see some of that movement. Is it moving like the original hand mech? Were you able to replicate that mechanism?
It's not quite as smooth. I think that there's some parts that, like if I had used some brass bushings or, there's a lot of finesse in putting these things together. And like going through the motion and building this, like you really, really appreciate, as much as it seems straightforward, it's really an elegant design. And, that just goes to Rick and his crew of how much, development went into something like kind of neat like this.
Yeah, and that's why they were able to make these mechs and use them for multiple films and be the defining on-screen gorilla characters.
Yeah.
Can we take a closer look at exactly how it comes together? Because when I last saw it, you were assembling the pieces, you had laser cut all of these individual pieces. Thankfully, some of them were the same, same as I repeated, and then you bolted them together, screwed them together.
Yep, we threaded straight into the acrylic.
Okay, and it's a string system. So each finger has a series of string and springs.
Yep.
How does that work? Can you walk me through that?
Well, there's, in the back you can see that there's the least amount of tension in the end of the finger, and then they gradually get kind of more tension as they go down, and then.
And there's a couple springs that hold the 2 fingers on the outside together.
Yeah, there was a spring mechanism on the original, and I just kind of threw this together kind of quick, it kind of takes the tension out of the lines so that these things snap back real nice.
And then through just 3 of these rings, you're able to pull them and get full 5-finger movement.
You know, this is another one of those builds where now that I'm done, I want to build it again because I've learned all the things I don't want to do and I want to do things different. It's such an amazing like learning process, just as, you know, just to try something out like this.
Yeah, and the really cool thing is, you know, you saw the original mech, and you didn't have to take it apart.
No,
you're just studying it.
Yeah, thanks to Gordon Tarpley for helping me make those blueprints,
those Illustrator files, and then with the laser cutter, you're able to make your own mechs that are a tribute to Rick Baker's original.
Yep.
Now, for people watching, you realize that we're not in Frank's shop right now. We're in our office, and that's because Frank's up here for our annual live show. We're gonna go take this and show some of the fans this project and let them get their hands on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this project with us. We'll have more laser cutter projects up here and in Frank's shop in the future.
Yep.
But until then, it's Frank, I'm Norm, and we'll see you next time.